What's up, everybody? Mike here, and by now you've probably, seen some of the hands-on previews from different outlets. At least many of y'all probably have seen, right? But I also want to do my own video reporting on the hands-on details like that, specifically from the PlayStation blog. Showcase some of the gameplay as well too when it comes to Erdtree. Now, while I'm still very excited about this, and I'm mostly trying to stay spoiler-free, I still want to do my job on here in a sense and report and update y'all on the best and some of the overlooked RPGs out there, from indies to AAAs and all that stuff. And I'm super hyped for Elden Ring. Shout out Erdtree from Software, one of my favorite companies. Cannot wait, dude. It's gonna be so freaking amazing. Got a lot of cool stuff planned. I'll go into towards the end of the video. But first, I want to go into the PlayStation blog details that's talked about here. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So, the Land of Shadow is calling. After a more than 2-year wait, we're weeks away from the launch of Shadow of the Erdtree, enormous DLC for Elden Ring. From Software hasn't spent those years basking the accolades their first open world adventure received. Instead, they've been hard at work on this, their biggest and most ambitious expansion ever. When I recently got a chance to go hands-on with Shadow of the Erdtree, even a tiny slice I saw made it easy to remember why Elden Ring is so beloved. Rise, tarnish, and here other things I saw. And this is by Eric Wellen, so he is credited for reporting this. And so basically he talks about how we're not in Limgrave anymore, y'all. So Shadow of the Erdtree takes place in an entirely new region known as the Land of Shadow, and is accessed by touching the mummified arm found in Margwyn Palace in the base game. It's here that Mikola, the oft-mentioned but never-seen character from the main game, traveled to in the game's lore. The section I explored opened with a sprawling meadow filled with gravestones and shadow spirits. In the distance, I could clearly see what lay ahead of me: a vast settlement, an expansive castle, and a dark woodland looming on the horizon. Above all, an enormous tree stood, charred and gnarled, in stark contrast to the golden tree seen across the main game's landscape. So, essentially referring to this region's, version of the Erdtree, I believe. While regions in the original game often glowed with autumnal warmth, this region's dry grass and dying shrubs felt ancient and blighted. A dungeon and fortress I explored, below tower, settlement, and castle instances were claustrophobic and folded over on themselves. They were filled with winding paths and concealed shortcuts, opening to reveal routes back to sites of grace, found through flooded cellars, lava-filled chasms, and forests alive with an eerie blue glow. And just to clarify too, different people, experience different things when it comes to hands-on previews. So this is just this person's experience, guys. Other ones I've checked out talk about different things they did in the game and places they went to, but essentially went to the same boss, which will be showcased in this video, if not already. Fresh yet familiar, the Land of Shadow feels like a natural extension to the lands between, and From Software's mastery level design is displayed here in glorious form. And that's the thing about, From Software games. Like, to me, one of the key things, if not the only thing, that makes a From Software game, is its level design. It is unparalleled, guys. Like, that is my opinion on this. Like, no other studio out there is on the same level as From Software when it comes to their level design and how intricate it is, and, engaging, fascinating, and fantastic the level design is in their games. Like, holy hell. So, cannot stress that enough. That, honestly, to me, is probably the number one, if not the main thing or only thing that really truly sets From Software apart when it comes to their Souls games and makes the Souls games what they are. New opponents await, so it wouldn't be a From Software update without fresh foes to face, and in that regard, Shadow of the Erdtree comes out swinging. The first enemy I faced dove down to attack me from atop a pillar and quickly sent me back to the side of grace. After that, I faced hatchet-wielding ghosts, death sorcery-breathing birds, and knights more lethal than anything I had encountered before. Gigantic, flaming brazier-like beasts flung brimstone in my direction mere moments after I started my journey, setting the scene for the rest of my time there. And then there are bosses. Shadow of the Erdtree will feature 10 plus full bosses and additional side bosses. Some are required to progress story, and others can be challenged when you feel up to it. I faced 2 of these. The first, the Divine Beast Dancing Lion, is found in below tower settlement and felt like that classic From Software early game skill check. A grotesque beast leaped across the arena to attack, using a mixture of elemental abilities to keep me on my toes before crushing my poor sorcerer between its teeth again and again. The second was magic-wielding Twin Moon Knight, one of the guardians of Castle Insis, who used a distinctive double full moon attack that filled the entire arena with magic blast. This devastating ability was challenging to avoid and threw me into the air before throwing me back down to earth, often with the lethal force. And if the double moon doesn't get you, their 1-2 combo of pyro and glintstone infused blades will. One consistent thing between every enemy I faced was their speed and agility. Without exception, the inhabitants of the Land of Shadow felt lethal even from a distance due to their ability to sprint, leap, and spin through the air to reach me. Enemies move fast. It's hard to say if this is unique to the area explored, but players should be prepared to get very familiar with that dodge button. And honestly, yeah, I'm loving what I'm reading here. You know, enemies are going to be more aggressive, you know, more challenging. Regular enemies, that is, from it sounds like here, based on what he's talking about. And I'm all for that. I want this expansion to, you know, challenge me more. I don't want to go in feeling OP personally. I want this to challenge me more. I know there's supposedly a separate leveling system too that's supposed to make us feel weak. And some of these hands-on preview videos, the preview build that they checked out, they played a level 150 character. So essentially confirming even more that, you know, that's why I do level 150 builds, because that seems to be the like average, you know, community agreed upon level for the game is level 150 for your builds. Obviously, that's if you're doing PvP, you know, you can do lower build levels too for PvP as well, but that's like usually the highest for PvP and even PvE, just so you can make the game still challenging enough for you and things like that. And yeah, I would say at least go into this at level 150. Obviously, some of y'all more casuals that don't care, have leveled above that, you're going to go into this above level 150, and that's fine. Rebuild your army. Shadow the Erdtree will introduce around 100 new weapons for players to discover. From the start, I chose a greatsword-sized katana, which caused fire damage when it made contact, and a battle shield featuring large metal spikes on the edge, turning this protective item into an offensive tool. Players can also discover 8 brand new weapon types. The details on many of these types were being kept under wraps for now, but I was given access to one. Martial arts. This is one I'm looking forward to the most, honestly. Out of all the new weapon types, martial arts. We kind of have a little bit of kung fu with the, you know, fist weapons, stuff like that, but this is on another level. Martial art builds will be coming, y'all, from me. New category allowed me to go into combat barehanded, swinging heavy punches and slamming kicks into my opponents. Just like other weapon types, martial arts can be assigned to a skill to suit your playstyle, and mine saw me taking a leaf from some of the boss's books by leaping through the air and landing a flurry of kicks on my enemies. Fighting barehanded might seem like madness in this kind of world, but I found it remarkably effective. The blunt impact of blows made it easier to break enemies' stance, leaving them open to a quick and deadly finisher. Martial arts was a joy to use, and if other new categories are even half as fun to play with, Tarnished are in for a treat with all new weapon types. And honestly, going off what he just talked about there, I feel like all the weapon types are going to be good in their own right. Like, there's not going to be any bad weapon types in the expansion whatsoever. Just like the base game, there really isn't a bad weapon type. There's honestly like a lot of great weapons in each category. Obviously not every weapon's great, but then again, honestly, you can do damage and be great with any weapon in the game, you know, depending how you build it out. You know, like in your play style. It's like there's no bad weapon in these games, honestly, in my opinion. Dark Souls and Elden Ring, Bloodborne, all that stuff, like the weapons are all made to be potent, to essentially just wreck enemies. You just gotta learn how to build them right. And the last thing here that he goes into is bolster yourself with grace. So Shadow Erdtree introduces a new system called Shadow Realm Blessing. To help level the playing field a little, intrepid explorers are offered the chance to find and use a new consumable to apply a stackable buff that negates some incoming damage and increases the damage you cause to opponents in the Land of Shadow. This consumable, Erdtree fragments, I think that's how you say it, are rare, but can be found littered across the world if you look carefully enough. Usable only at sites of grace. The amount needed for the next level of buff increases after each use, but seeking them out could make your journey slightly less harrowing. Of course, if you prefer a tougher challenge, the use of the Erdtree fragments is entirely optional, and the buff has no effect outside the Land of Shadows. That is good. That's good. So it's only a DLC thing. Personally, I'm not going to do that, but I see why they put it in there. It's sort of like a way to kind of like make it a bit more easier, even though in my personal opinion, Elden Ring is not a super hard game unless you make it super hard yourself. Elden Ring is the most approachable Souls game ever made. Elden Ring is fairly an easy game, you know, once you level up enough for it and know what you're doing and, you know, figure out what type of build you want to go for, or just doing everything type build anyway. Shadow of the Erdtree is shaping up to be a worthy expansion to From Software's now legendary adventure. If you've been away from Elden Ring for some time, jumping into this new region will feel comfortably familiar, but even for veterans, there is plenty to uncover. Happy about that, and like us, you know, I was checking out other reports on this too, and how it's still very, very challenging type of game. Just because you're level 150 doesn't mean you're going to just breeze through it, you know, feel overpowered, things like that. And maybe if you're above that, maybe, depends. And also if you take advantage of the Erdtree fragments to make it easier and stuff, yeah, that's up to you. Optional. I'm glad they made it at least optional, at least, because I hate when, you know, Souls-likes developers will make the game easier overall instead of just putting something in that's optional to make it easier and stuff. Like, I think that's a better route to go. Give players more options. Give the player more options when it comes to how to approach the game, the gameplay, things like that. So this is something to take note of. You know, devs of Souls-likes, you know, things like that, especially y'all at Liza P, because I was kind of mad y'all made that game easier for people. That was great the way it was. But anyway, I digress. As far as my plans though, guys, like, I'm excited. I got 3 characters made. I'll be streaming this day 1 on launch. So I've already gotten everything min build ready to go, because that's what my community voted on me to do, to showcase all the different weapon types in this Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. I also got my mule character, which is my first original character for build videos pertaining to the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So you're going to be seeing a lot more build videos coming from me regarding that. And then I got a 3rd character I've made, because, you know what, I'm gonna make a walkthrough of this as well too, and try to have some other god videos. So that'll be my 3rd character for that. So exciting stuff from me coming, guys. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you support me on Twitch as well as YouTube here, because I'll be multi-streaming it on both channels. So either one, follow me on both, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful and enlightening, please hit a thumbs up. Very much appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, please. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. As always, thank you again for all your love and support here and watch this video. My name's Mike. I'll see you next time.